come around.
Did you
Jackson Grant. Yeah, which is pretty good. Yeah, that's right. As far as. Yeah, you're sorry. This play. 8 o'clock. So, rather very fun.
Still has the, they didn't reverse it, they just said, you know, uh, suspension. A year to have the suspension.
Also changes was. Yeah. Yeah, they go around.
But, you know, it is. They're set out in suspension, so there's no, you know, what do you do?
Sorry.
I call the meeting roll. Hold item on the agenda. Dan. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Carroll Township Board of Supervisors work session for July 6, 2026. Next item on the agenda is public comment. If you have a public comment that is
Your attention that there's an audio issue in the room. The last planning commission meeting, which was I think a week ago, and all of the audio sounded very garbled. And I actually have a church, remotely, listening in, and she said everything sounds garbled. So I had messaged Brandon about it. We thought, well, maybe. So you guys want to look into it, because basically what's being recorded and posted online, no one can hear anything that's being said.
That's Marge, you can only hear.
Totally went out.
Everything is set the same, I guess we're gonna have some AV folks come in and analyze where the problem is. Everything's set the same. Line across. Maybe the
Any other public comment this evening? Just to note that the board is meeting prior to the work session this evening in executive session to discuss the personnel matter. Next on. Eimer, 300 Normandy Lane.
Hi, Sandra Eimer, 300 Normandy Lane. This is in regards to a request to waive the number of trees. And also approval and show the characteristics of it. These are the landscapers that I work with to go soil erosion issues.
Is that the same? Is that the same letter that was in your submittal?
Actually, the one that was this one, yeah. It's placed right on top of the desk. Now, this one, hard to see the practice, maybe the trees are placed. Being asked.
This looks familiar.
So you have the letter from the landscaper. One.
You have enough, I got that first.
Oh, good, okay.
At least one.
Do you have one? Yeah. Okay. So with that said, this property, I think everybody knows, had a lot of soil erosion. And I've worked really hard with the present landscapers and also with my lawn care to make sure. The amount of trees. So if you look at the picture I have for you, I'm going to go over characteristics of the property. So first of all, the trees must be removed due to the fact that they're in close proximity to the sidewalk. It also conflicts with the utilities and the traffic light. The last line on the property. look at the plot plan, the gas line goes to the property and it goes straight over to the front. It goes like here, then goes all the way around, and the gas line goes the length of the house to a generator. Okay, so we have to take gas line, it goes, and there's a generator. So the first thing is, and then another thing, the first three lines are on a gas line. I think if the gas companies come out, what they stated was. So I don't know. Uh, that wasn't the best practice, and they did say because of how big. So that is definitely something, and they. So I will have that. Okay. Right over here, it's right in front of a speed limit sign. Three things. The speed limit sign is in front of, yeah. Well, to go. There's that I'm asking to be waived because I can't move. Okay, and that's, the other. Never been placed there either. Okay, so that's gonna be a conflict. So with all that said, all the trees shouldn't have been placed by the side. What I'm requesting. Ways also. The other characteristics that I wanted to bring out also is that placement of the trees is planted now in the front of the property. There is a lot of water. In fact, recently I just had a lot of soil erosion and there was a ditch that was coming, that was forming. And in the winter previously to when. Yeah. Ocean and river rock, and that stopped the soil erosion and also the icing on the handicapped sidewalk. Okay, so this property kind of has a lot of issues with maintaining. That all the work said that, and then the other thing that we have to think about placing trees on the property is again the gas line, and then there's a lot of. Bills. So with that all said, that, I do have like, not, the square footage for the property will not maintain, 7 trees. The landscaper recommends, there's called an LE solid. Yes. They probably have maintain the lawn so that you don't have all that runoff and now you put these big trees on. And the trees, I don't have the square footage for a tree. It's gonna take the whole lot. 30 feet there. I'm asking to just put 2 trees on the side, really bare, but I only have 30 feet. These holly trees get to be 10 feet. the trees. And then that house foundation again. Currently, also, I just wanted to point out, there's 8 trees on the property around. The other 4 big rocks. So with that said, I put in some 2 blue spruces, which are right over here. They had drilled them in. So I can't even plant. Saying that, in fact, if you look over here, 5-year-old holly bushes. And I had them at a previous house. They grew fast. In fact, I had a little visitor, a rabbit that was, I didn't know what was going on. It was superficial. And we finally found out, well, it sounds like it's, something that's just transient and go away. Little rabbit digging up the property. Couldn't even dig deep enough. You just get that very, you have to holly. So the thing is that they're still digging up the lawn. It might, it's gonna cause again, water. They're already resolved around the sidewalk. So with that said, there's a place right here on the side of the house. Now, again, we have, if you look at the plot plan, you have, the gas line that goes out here. There's a landscape bed. And then the generator, they want you 3 feet away with a full ground tree. And 3 feet away, all this time, probably the tree is large. On this property, square footage. My property, well, there's a little land that there isn't. It's shallow, right? And when I dig the trees, now these cabs and mules should get to be 20 feet, but at the bird. Well, they're not really thriving. And I think that log trees in front of the house have never even trimmed them. They're 5 years, they're 6 years old. We do like I don't know, digging up the property when I did spend, I spent $100 property to keep it on the property. And I think with the soil erosion and with the ice on the sidewalk, I had icing coming across the sidewalk, right in front of the sidewalk, and with my press train and it took it back. It slowed down, most of the land is slowed down. So when you're putting a tree in there, you can't have a big tree where there's a lot of roots. And I would be.
Senator, if I may, one conflict I don't quite understand in your application, you're saying that you're looking for a number of trees to be removed to 7. And the reasons for removal, you're saying are directly on top of
You have 2 directly by the swales.
Okay, so based on your photographs, you're talking about 7, and are they maple trees?
Yes, they're maple trees and pear trees. And
So that's what you're requesting.
trees around. You have 2 trees at the end at the ends of my swales. You have one on it, then you have 3 in the front of the property. They're on a gas line.
Yeah.
One of them in front of a.
Sorry, not drive through here, but if I were to continue south on Normandy Lane, the other properties here, they all have these street trees.
Yeah,
Other properties, they all have these trees between.
they do.
If I were to instead come in onto Normandy, then they go right.
Yeah.
And I'd be across. Make you the only property in this neighborhood that would not have. In which the plan was approved, correct?
Right.
Actually, that's
So-
true.
What?
Three that came in. It's, that came in, got the permit. They- they were in here for the request, I think, had 3 trees.
Okay.
So, so there is some 3 properties that had them removed.
So. 2 of the 3 properties. And then 2. Of 3 trees, correct? I mean, I'm just trying to understand because it seems like a significant deviation.
Well, I want waivers then because I'm not. After I just spent 6.
Right.
They're gonna be. Amazing. You put these trees that branch out. When you branch these trees out, they get to be, they get to be more than this. You're going 50-foot trees and so square footage of these.
Earlier, I know. The tree, and in the ordinance, and I said. You are allowed. Not a way. These. All trees, you need your.
Right directly over swale, and it goes right around the swale. That is draining properly. That is draining. They don't even want you to put trees in to take the ground. I picked. Is when I first moved in here, placed the sidewalk on the side, because what happened is there was water runoff so much that it. Sidewalk into the property, is only 30 feet, it's 30 feet.
So the.
We're not requiring you.
The ordinance is if you remove. You remove required street. She moved 7 into the yard, she's not even here before you guys, she's here for a waiver of the number of the trees.
Yeah, see, because what happens is, really my gas bill. They also recommended that they take money, they take money.
Can you provide that to us?
He gave you an email.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
I spoke with them, they. Trees out, as a recommendation, if you do.
Well, maybe bigger, that's when it can be done. Now you also, I put it around my house.
It's not, everyone's saying it's a requirement of them, and I can.
It's not, I said, that's fact. Like,
You got your drawing. Right up of the drawing. Let's see, your trees are labeled by circles pencil, right?
yeah, it's right, like right over here.
So if you start at the very top, we're gonna get a drawing.
so. Township is saying it's probably the best practice to do it, because I have my old development, I'm sorry you have to be trees.
There is the township.
Yes. They said we should, you know, if you don't want to. And
You bring it?
Uh, Yeah, you can do it if you get a permit and follow the rules, you know, how it was portrayed. It was never, you can take it out.
You would not be forced to pick up.
well. It can happen.
I'm drawing. Next circle. Take that tree.
Again, they're all close to the sidewalk. They didn't, use discretion in putting them on the sidewalks, so the roots can grow in. 3 of them are banned. The 3 pear trees that I have. I mean, they can damage the sidewalk.
Those bigger sidewalk issues, then the next one is at the stop sign tree.
Yeah, yes.
And then we make what's right onto.
Very black. Bruce went and ran. Even explain. All on a gas line.
So the last 3 are gas lines. All the other.
That's where the gas line is installed, same with Logan Meadows. It's within that tree yard. It's, I mean, it's just.
Over the gas line, exactly, so they do want to take the issue up when they're removed. He said that's the best practice, they have to turn off. Yeah, but he also said, it's not, you know, when they get. It depends on. Top of, the best practice is 5 feet away.
Right, and that was gonna be my next question. Yeah, and I saw someone made a comment about corner lots having more trees. All the way around there, so a lot of trees, but. I have that ordinance in place, mine, fieldstone grass, Indian. Case of the Logan Meadow, all over the place. Aesthetic to the fact that sidewalks. For our sidewalks to move to shift up and down like that, and certainly trees, we just had to replace. You know, the last year, our HOA took care of that, fortunately. We had. I mean. I don't know, last year or whatever it was, but, you know, for the board to, and this is a specific request, but for the board to address sidewalk modifications because of the trees. Or any of us wrong. It is the border wrong. Like, well, my sidewalk's bottling too.
Well, that's what I'm trying to prevent. That's what we're trying to prevent.
So for clarification on the waiver. Lemon trees.
Yeah, because of the character. There's Sail Rock, I mean, I can't even put stakes in the. There's nothing, you're getting blocked. Why did all those last trees in? Nothing really grows on that property. And why do the things is clay? What is the HOA? I mean, you're part of the HOA, did you do it, sir?
This board is actually aware of the design flaws of the, stormwater. So we're. Trying to fix a lot of them at her own expense that were on her property. there's a lack of topsoil, there's, this board is well aware of the required amount of topsoil. You can keep this on the list, that, I mean, solid rock within an inch or 2 inches, sometimes right at, sometimes 2 or 3 inches. And she's right. The conditions for growing anything. Plus her lot has some additional issues that a typical corner lot might not have. She's got swales. Pages on the back. Plus she lives in Carroll and has a swale. You may recall, she's been here several times because she couldn't get it to drain. She signed a waiver. Township allowed her to fix it. I know that grass growing there.
Oh, there's no water there.
Running. We about that as well, and rightfully so. The tree that is, I think the first tree that Ron asked about on the plot plan. Is that engagement? Water used to sit on the sidewalk coming down from that swale. We did put a drain in. That wasn't part of the original plan. That was to, because we. I mean, there. A lot of room. She's planted some other plants and to also kind of help with the water flow to keep it from her house because she's done a lot of work. Actually make the lawn so that it looks nice. That,
And protect the swale, because the swale was there now.
and I would point out that one of the, that was on the entire back and side yard was a huge, a steep slope. A lot of trees, many of them were evergreens, and we didn't require him to replace any of them. But I don't know that there.
Came before, he exceeded the number of trees that he took out, but some of the evergreens with broadleaf there, so the overall tree line.
Additional,
I have 8 trees on there.
to speak to your concern about it would look different in the community. Different, because it does not have any trees. Part of the property, and I think. I think that there might become more properties than odd, that one corner, that I was just speaking of. But it still looks very nice, and it does. And I would point out also, she's not asking for the township to pay for anything, she's just asking to, get a waiver on the number of trees that she has to replace.
One thing too with this property, there is a corner lot. In a corner lot, there's trees down 2 sides of it. That's why there's and the square footage of the lot to move the trees back toward the house there's not a whole lot of room for
That's really,
what's happening trees.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, well, the big thing is, I think, you know, when you go over a property and see it in real life, the two trees that he's talking about, it's about the only thing, the only place you can do anything. It's either utilities coming in, like the gas lines, the electric, the sewer lines, the water lines, got a swale in the back and a swale on the side. And there's just, no square footage in the tree, when it starts growing, you need something to grow. Nothing's growing here. But, when it goes up, starts pushing out, the root ball gets bigger. You know, the, you see the sidewalk and the curb. You have to keep the tree away from the sidewalk, but you don't want it destroying the house. So that's where a lot of the issues come in, and I've been over there trying to dig soil, that isn't possible. I mean, if you try to, these pictures that he's talking about putting in, it's very possible that you're trying to dig, put the trees in and not get them in. You might need a jackhammer or something just to do it, and I don't know if they can survive. It all depends on how big the hole is dig out.
amazing that it has a line over it right now. Because it used to be all there and brand new line, like, they did miracles with that and about a line. I love like there used to be runoff there like crazy. And I put all this money into, and I also had to put a steel edging these trees were. And Phil, it did admit to me that that's water. And I'm like, well, this needs to be fixed. It's fine, it just lays there and it'll go down. There were 3 big rocks. It was a swamp. So I hate to do this to this property and then make a mess out of it again. And then have me, having what, and when it was raining. And then that. It's from that, downspout, I don't have that runoff now. And so that's fixed, and I didn't have the icing on the sidewalk. So this has a lot of water issues, because of all the rock. And this is what it can get out, I mean, this is for my lawn. And this is what you have there.
Dave, I mean, I appreciate all the advocacy and work that you and, about that from us on the stormwater issues on our property and other properties as well. And, you know, look. But we're really talking about two different, one is the need to eliminate 7 trees, and then 2 is the need and justification to say, we can't fit those over the property. And I understand the justification for not being able to fit 7 trees elsewhere on the property. I guess in my alternative, then don't rip out the tree.
Sidewalk, I'm not gonna replace them. Because I'm not gonna replace the sidewalk. I mean, I've had enough where you're telling me keep the trees there, but if you uproot, it's your responsibility. $1,000 when I just already put $7,000 into that property. So I keep on.
part of a large community of folks who have to address that.
And I, Being that's 435-52-52. The finished topography of the site shall be adequately facilitate the proposed development without excessive destruction of natural amenities. And desirable. So if it's not possible, if it's not desirable from the landowner, who is it was possible and desirable? Who, can somebody give me a definition of that? Is that the landowner or is that the town? It was there initially when they built the development.
Right, so
So-
nothing to reserve. I'm not following.
Well, this is the ordinance that, this is why I have to replace it. It says, then it says, the applicant shall then provide the natural features shall be restricted through. The owner takes that over?
You're not, yeah, you're not doing anything like a subdivision plan that you would fall under these requirements.
This is where this, that I have to replace the trees if. That's kind of good.
You have the whole landscape feature requirements within that. So you're looking at sections that pertain to subdivision land development.
Now, I have a question for the, you're in front of the stop sign and the speed limit.
They're like that all over. It's not in the site triangle. There's a clear site triangle. And it. Maintain that. Site. Lands would encroach either, number one, the township would off, the development, or landowner, either the owner of the property. Be the stop sign. But it is as.
And when I'm coming out of my stop sign, I can't even see the road anymore because it's getting so big. It's hard to get out of my driveway. People speed.
Sounds like it needs trimmed a little bit, but.
I think it's up there on top of the gas line. I really think they should be removed. Yeah.
If. Once. Or the gas lines, so we. And what to.
Yes.
You
That's
accept
what I
that?
see. I would, because I think it's going to be there on the side of the house and I wanted to remove the type. Yes, I will put them in my cost and I will remove the trees at my cost.
There's one other thing. Don't know how much it costs to do.
$1,000. I've already put $7,000 into this on the drainage stuff. So right now it's another $1,000. It was 700, but it went up 300. It proved my case a little bit better.
Year or so ago, last time. He had called me over to take a look at the sidewalks, and his sidewalks are heaved up. He's painted orange, paint on the side of the sidewalk. And I went over to look. I got the curb, and I looked at the curb pulled down in the street. The trees that are there, I don't know what they are, but, yeah, they cause a lot of damage. And I think too, that, we had, changed the policy as far as when people plant the tree, sidewalk and the curb. You're seeing that on the new development. It's a big deal because I think once the sidewalks start getting messed up all over, the people are gonna be pulling.
But I think on new development. There's not like one tree and it.
Anybody really pay attention to that? I mean, I'm gonna have trees across the other part of the street. They're gonna be all there. It's gonna give that, plus I'm putting 2 trees, I'm putting 2 big trees. If they ever get. I
think that makes.
you know, they work with me, so they fix issues and have solved them. And I had to put a waiver. I fixed it after 5 years. Up there. Lawnmower blade almost every time because I was getting rocks all over.
I mean, I'm a believer that retreat, but John, you know, I'm trying to understand you. From the.
Yeah, but how am I gonna put the ones that are at the swale? One is at a swale, and one is right in front of a drain.
I'm not suggesting putting new, I'm not, what I'm saying is take. Not say you should take.
Well, you know what, I don't want that, because that's not what he told me. He said, no, number one, the gas lines move, and he said the best practice, I never put them on top of the gas. And then we moved it back so that it wouldn't interfere with those lines. And what I'm trying to say is, I don't feel comfortable with it, that you don't know how big those trees are, and there is one, those, pear trees, they're big. It's really getting heavy, and they're bad now, you're not supposed to put them in.
Well, again, I feel like I'm doing all the talking here, but like, I have an appreciation for the fact that you don't like the Bartlett pear. I have a Bartlett pear. I'm not fond of it. I know if I put it down, I have to put something else. And we have a list of.
It's really, footage.
No one's taking any of your.
You're on the HOA, right?
Yeah.
Taking all these street trees out and planting 2 trees.
That's not an township ordinance, it's not an HOA.
Yeah.
The HOA can't over.
Either, it wouldn't matter what the.
Right. You know, there's a hierarchy and the HOA is at the bottom.
And the ordinance is the design of a. Well, right, so. You know, the typical. You got these big trees. Shade, kids climb all over them and so on and so forth. So the intent. Continuity. Sorry about. These. You lose that continuity. Is that gonna matter for?
Over time, you're going to lose each property. Even at years, if you drive, not necessarily.
All the trees along.
And-
the
and-
sidewalk.
Trees have grown up at different rates and some trees have not been. Over time, they,
Can I show you a picture of, this is my development, now these were trees this size. You can't even see the houses, and those houses are much bigger than what we have here. I talked to one of my old. The sidewalk, that's in Hershey.
So if, what we have, we get making damage to the gas line.
I will hold you responsible because I'm trying to get a.
No, they would come out and price.
gas company to forward over. You don't need to spend money to fix it or to, you know, to even.
But to do damage to the property, I don't know, because it's a gas line. They did mention to me that it would make. The gas line. Best practice.
this reason. Gas lines are damaged. And the gas company takes the trees out to fix the gas line. Who's responsible for replacing?
They need to take a road occupant. Sidewalk, grass. So as part of their permit, satisfaction is that they have to restore what's there. So if there is a tree there, a 30-foot tree, you don't take a 30-foot tree and have.
Correct when I say homeowner this development, this tree line using the sidewalk, the trees along it, just by moving the trees and without having to come see you.
No.
They would need a permit from the township and the board felt this issue, you know, and that's why we developed this permit, relocating. But I think we're over the continuity. Beavers the back room.
But John, I see where you're going with this, but, and to that point, I think if it were that big of an issue, you would.
You don't even
The
know.
whole neighborhood. Well,
Issue would be the pit.
yeah, right.
And I didn't even know it was on top of a gas line. They marked it, and that's when I looked at it and thought, you know, it's on top of a gas line. So is it the best practice? No, it's not. And then it gets bigger. Could you guarantee me that it won't do any damage to the gas line or to the house? You can't guarantee it. And that's what the representative can't guarantee anything. Usually, the parameters are 5 feet away.
An 824.
I don't live in a development. But if I get upset with the tree out front, I go out and hack it down. And if I want to plant one 30 feet away, I can plant it. I don't have to worry about it. You know, looking at her problem. Once the trees start to get matured, if you do the two she's talking about, you're gonna take up all the space that's there, and actually, at some point, they'll probably have to be cut down. Because they'll get too big for the space.
I mean, just to address the comment, that's when you have it not living in a development without intentional way, right? Like you can go out and do that, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, when you live in a subdivision like this, I'm not a big fan of. Like driving, again,
Pick it up, I got an
and I guess that's, you know, my point is when you move into a neighborhood, I mean, we were provided our HOA documents when we moved in.
Thing is, the pear trees are getting really big and the landscaper said, yeah, they'll do damage. The roots, especially the maple trees, they're gonna grow out. So then. I'm trying. But I had to fix all that. And you know that there's grading issues, you know that there's wrong here. And I understand what you're saying, but you know, the trees are getting bigger. There's two on a swale. Really shouldn't be there. I don't even have the room for that. I put them in the swale or near the swale, and those swales are working beautifully right now.
Actually, you can't put it in the swale.
Yeah.
Not in the rear one, that's a.
Well, I do have them there already. There's 30 property already. They're not bushes. They are a tree. It's just that they're not growing. A Captain Mule tree. It's not a bush. There's like the three that are, you know, there's two burning bushes and nothing grows on my property. Even the box tree, I never trim them. I never did anything. They just don't, I maintain them.
The ordinance takes an hour of the trunk. And I,
They are a tree though. They just they don't take off. I treat them. I do everything, but they were saying that the soil and scale off. So it's just that they said it's real. So it's nice, man. The two trees that I'm talking about is a holly tree that is it's dry to shale rock. So
these trees out with seven. If she went in there and picked out where she was gonna put them, I would bet money you couldn't get the holes in it.
yeah, you're not gonna get the tree.
That's the other part. And I don't. Do it. You do that, made something as big as a hole, or like a trash can, and put the tree in and planted dirt. I don't think the tree would get very big.
Yeah,
Good. So. 3 inches of some soil that you can't really call topsoil over the top of the rock. But I do know that the neighbor's house has a big outcrop in a rock
Mhm.
in their yard. And there is a feel it. If the sidewalk breaks up and it has to be replaced, who does it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on her. So if she wants to save the sidewalk, it's not.
Am I ready? He replaced it already. And I have to reseal it again because it wasn't resealed by the town. They put these little snap things in, and of course they're broken. So I paid $900 to reseal it this winter. Whether lot of money into this property for things that should have been done before, the grading should have been done better. And now that I have grass, soil is being stable. I'm not going to replace the sidewalk. Down, I can't replace the sidewalk. I will pay $1,000 to take those trees out, but I am not gonna replace the sidewalk when I'm trying to do stuff. And then I'm gonna be told, what? It's like, it's $7,000 I maintain that lawn. And
Well,
then,
certainly, Mr. Chairman. Partnership of itself, right? So. Electric. Myself, speaking for myself, I would be fine if there's a place where she could put 2 trees that she would be willing to. All trees or 2 evergreens, whatever. Above the gas line, and because it's covering, it's close to the stop sign, I think it's a lot cheaper to go ahead and trim up the tree on the stop sign than to pull it out for $1,000.
well, can you sign a waiver like I had to sign a waiver to the township if it is damaged because of the trees, that you would help me out with the cost? Because that's what you're asking, you're telling me not to just preventative things. Right. I'm sorry, I fixed a lot of the stuff. I don't think I should continue to do that. My sidewalk did crack around. So I know the cost, that was $6,000 that Bill had to pick up. And then he put a top coat on the. He wasn't like me. They're gonna crack. I'm not place them when I'm trying to prevent the problem. If the trees do go into the sidewalk, I think I should have a waiver. I had to sign a waiver. The drain in, because it wasn't in the wood. Because you were telling me to put it.
Trees that are not thriving. You've got the 2 new spruce trees and your,
Side, and there's 3 on the sides, man.
and then the 2 holly. Thank you. That's
Trees now, 10 trees.
so there are the trees on the property place, the 7 trees that were required.
There's a certain size, so the caliber of the trunk, 2 inches, or 2.5 inches. And evergreen trees must be 6 foot tall, so. Should not be doing this waiver.
How about the blue trees, that gets to be 8 feet, and the other ones that I'm asking, the holly trees get to be 25.
At the time of planting, an evergreen tree is 6 feet tall by the ordinance. If you're gonna put in something less than that, I'm waiting.
Does get to be 8 feet, but I don't think anything's gonna get to grow in that. I'm sorry, but it's just nothing's growing there. And I treat those things, I water them, I do whatever I can, they clear.
That's to next week's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, I want to be sympathetic to your time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's move to agenda item number 10. Chief Officer Megatolfi has completed his 1-year probationary period.
Yes, every officer, officer pretty close to me, right? One.
Good, yeah, congratulations.
At the next meeting on Monday, we have an applicant that's ready to be hired, successfully passed, all right. So we'll have that applicant here on Monday.
Who was it?
We don't want to say the person's name, because this person's department doesn't know.
Oh, okay, yeah, got it.
Thank you for. We applied for a grant last year. Rural radios, we estimated cost of the radio, $1,900. We did get approved for the grant. The space we were on the emergency center, the bulk radio order, if you order the agencies in the town or more radio department cost. The original cost of it was about coming down to $82,000 for full. Very good. We did receive those already.
Have we received the radios yet?
For the order case, had a conversation about years ago, we had problems in the hose that goes down was basically down to the bottom. Again, we had problems if they were actually ordered up have. And we have. And that informed me that there's there was an issue.
Pretty much staying there. In there, so we got away from that, we went to fuel cards.
Recommendation to the township,
The fuel cards. Eliminates routine maintenance, we have to constantly doing this, and also, just the liability of having a fuel pump there. It's antiquated, it didn't have secondary. No. So I think. Looking to get away from that. Ours. Seats.
What, the rolls or is it sheets?
It's a foot, glass. Wax, yeah, wax.
Oh, it's wax?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll just stop using the gas pump, or there's like a decommissioning process involved?
we'll use it to the point where it's down.
Yeah, we'll have to just get whatever's left in there, then maybe we might have that out there or, you know, so to speak, and then we would scrap the tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, once that's done. I don't think there's any formal action needed before for this.
Well, there's gonna be considered hazardous waste.
Right.
If you done.
So we will have. 15 minutes.
Brandon, just, maybe you already did it, but there's some, you know, between quarrels also in sheet. You can get a fuel.
paying a certain tax on there for a municipal. But I don't know if that's above and beyond or.
Yeah, just FYI, okay.
All right. This next year. Is as far as scientific and for. It's the only time you notice is when the flow or small shutter. Looking at the price of the clock that we use more, we manufacture ones, that's $6,000. And I'm not gonna put that on. We're never gonna get money back. If they put it in a refine, you're never gonna recoup the money. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pay you so that part gets replaced. About that more this year.
So if I'm speeding, I'm the town board. These guys.
On the hill.
Where's he sitting at?
I'm going uphill.
I'll be looking for.
And lastly, so we had a grant from a year or two ago, it was a $100,000 grant. Purchase a vehicle, we did that purchase, that completely done. There were certain about, there were, well, our option was either check back to DCD or something else. We work with DCD and we have a lot of, so we really appreciate us. We got the approval from DCD to use remaining funds, and that absolutely. And our canine vehicle, canine insert, we're moving through that bar and then the cost for that plus the. And that was it.
Is the insert, can it be put into the new car when the car is replaced, or?
Well, it all depends on, whether, and then. It all depends on what.
You just said that it was gonna be replaced next year. Did I misunderstand?
That's for. No, we have to replace it because we're pulling part three out of the rotation and then the solar one. And have to replace that part. That's what
That's not what I heard.
I probably said it wrong. I apologize if I did.
Okay.
I meant this, but I said this.
It's good.
Yeah, Brandon, I don't know if you noticed with the microphone part going in and out, in and out.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to look at it. I don't know if it's like
In and out.
One message. Ran to the console because they think it might be that when the volume isn't loud enough for your voice, the microphones aren't detecting and they're shutting off. Does that sound?
Returning back to the agenda item number 5, this is the final subdivision plan for, I don't know what Botch was today.
high day.
Tie Day. Dang it. Tie Day Boards Homes.
That at the last meeting, last Thursday, they actually resubmit a submission number 3 to address partial comments on. That I have on the agreement itself. So at the planning commission at last Thursday, actually, the plan was conditional approved by the planning commission. And some of their, administrative comments on the comments letters. So.
I did review the declaration. Okay.
5A47.
I think there was a photo, I'm trying to pull it up, but of course, Adobe decided to do an update. There was a total of 4 waivers.
They. They. Information review.
I didn't see any other issues from the 7-2 letter from, Larry Isaac.
Next is the preliminary and final subdivision and land development plan for Celebration Community Church. Are they granted a time extension?
Yeah, so they granted us time extension.
Next is 15 Orbank Road. This is the Inch property. Yeah, mixed use development Inch properties. This is assured, they request a surety release.
Yeah. By the Gilbert Area Authority, so they permit a request, we release the full amount. So we have reviewed the submission and have no issue, release the full amount. In the amount of 2,008. So that 208,000.
That was for the water, correct?
Well,
Do you verify that, or did you get in contact with the DAA, see if there was any issues?
Well, we normally don't do that, but we did to keep this thing rolling. We wanted to get it done this summer.
Yeah.
They couldn't meet the deadlines for DAA, so we bonded it until they got it there and then
Okay.
released it.
What fund commission bond?
Yeah, so that was submitted, our solicitor was taking a look at that, so I don't know if there's any comments. I think there was some formatting stuff.
I think the substance of the AD. Go back and reformat it.
We did not receive that packet.
Okay, we'll take this off for next week.
Did they expect to get that to us for next week?
I would leave it alone, I could imagine.
Any questions on the decommissioning bond? None. Next is the Barry Eisen Associates Engineering contract. I know that you guys were going back and forth at the last meeting.
Right. You're gonna be all okay with this, so I think we can leave it on the agenda for adoption.
But John, they didn't change 14.2 or 14.3. The same. Well, I think 14-1 went from 50. And I don't believe that our previous engineering firm had.
Three has changed. So it does say that.
Verbiage from what I read was identical. It just says client agrees to the entire. Any and all contractors working on this project with the latest revisions of all plans.
You have the prior one? I'm mistaken.
14-2, that's two.
Well, that's the issue with 14-2, right? So I don't know that you're gonna get Mr. Lewis to agree to take that provision. We had a long discussion. I had a long discussion on that. Anyone we talked about. So I guess we're on a crossroads then. If we're gonna be insistent that that comes out, I'm not sure where your company is.
I'm not part of. But I can believe.
I know it did not change, but.
To me, that's basically holding them harmless should they make a mistake and. Party goes and sues the township.
What you see change is what he was doing. So. I guess we're at a point where you guys need to tell me before the next meeting.
Many others just. You know, I know nobody really wants to make a mistake, but it's called accountability. Or if an engineering firm goes and makes a mistake in the process of your expertise. Pretty deep. Value. Bullshit, because that's who they'll sue, to walk away from them. Sorry. You know, identified, we're held harmless from our mistake. And that benefits this partnership. Especially having a cap and saying, you know, our liability for damages, you know, will be good for up to 250,000. It's kind of like, wait.
We set up a separate conversation with my boss and, you know, whoever commissioner, whoever is solicitor and, the supervisor. I-
But I've typically seen a proportional scenario on emissions clause, it's bad. Yeah, something like that, then that's on us. We're not.
And I think. One, two, sit with Lewis. Pass through that provision.
Yeah, because there one there, it says there's a conditional fee to remove the liability amount to be held. What's, Mandy, you may not know that, but that's my question I have is, okay, so what's? I'm just, you know, based on my past history in construction and, you know, indemnifying it is just that we just don't agree to it.
Yeah, work it out, next week. Since 2015, item 16, update on the York County Fire Rescue Group.
There has not been any movement on that. I did provide the draft to yeah, distributed it through their board to look. Houses,
Oh,
and so, finding a time. Meeting on it.
all right, so we can take those. I mean, there's no action for this next week.
Yeah.
This is the resolution for 2026. About that last month, this is the resolution to provide supplemental appropriations as a New York County Fire and Rescue contribution. And does anybody the conclusion to the next is proposed amendments to the Code of Carroll Township, bringing to York County Planning Commission for review and comments.
Yes, everyone's looked at this, we talked about it. Getting all the things to change. Is not- So you guys are looking at it, I'll make those minor terminology changes with the word from we. Next week, we'd like to get this off to you. Any commission.
Asian grant. Fit into the ordinance.
That's part of the data center, because. Yeah, so that's tied to, you're looking at the, appendix.
Yes.
Okay, that's tied to. Data center work.
Not even terms that you. Making it. How does this? I'm sorry, how's, I think, play out.
It correlates, you gotta read the section in the ordinance. They work together. Pretty much.
These are. Have to be in any agreement.
Yes.
Up to our last clear. All right, that makes sense. Thank you, that's what I want.
Brandon, I just had a question. Adding the second, bullet under, 45288B regarding, their giving to the local education. I had two concerns with that. Because we didn't really have any blank talk about really what the, annual, or the blank. There's actually language into 2A. One of the bullets was already that related to. Very good, it was a. Yay should terms. Should. Wanted to add. To establish. Relating to the contribution to local educational. I just thought that kind of was that. Something about. Number. Possibly it would vary depending on the type of data center. But I was not having anything.
I'll update with these minor changes, repost it for OneNote, most likely. I just want to look at it, that'll be the draft that we vote to send off.
Then Monday, your changes to, they would next step would go.
Any other comments on the? Next is money management and investing. Frank, is this you?
Yeah, this was just to update the board, we did, it took us a little while to get that account set up. $800,000 that matured. I know we already have a board approval to do the other 570. Talking with Brandon and Faye, we've decided and submitted to which one. The third would be for a rec fund, and so going through this, I started doing some money management analysis with Faye and well, at all of our bank accounts and and I was seeing actually some areas on money management. Nothing against Faye or Brandon. It's just there is some ways that we can actually improve additionally township. Everyone didn't get a chance. But what I'm proposing for next week's meeting is an approval from the to actually okay, that's money that we currently have in our current banking accounts, several different banking accounts, two different banks. And we are earning an average of 2% on that money. Which would be general, capital, and rec fund. That would bring approximately $95,000 more into the township in interest income in a year. So I worked with Brandon and Faye and Sheila, and we went through and the analysis I did on the bank accounts, making sure that we had enough money for the standard things we constantly have to pay for, like payroll, very critical, important, right? And all the other expenses that we have, that's current, plus what we still have coming in for the balance of this year of revenue, through tax means and other means that we have in our budget. We still have enough money within the accounts to continue our operation within Carroll Township, moving that amount. We got moving ladders with that investment money up to currently we have a ladder which is months. We can also money be every 3 months. That means we always have money available at maturity for the township to use should there be an issue or something unforeseen comes up. And even if you go and take a treasury bond and say, I want to go not lose any of the principal, you don't lose any of the all you earn, just lose the interest for the balance of the treasury note. So what is what proposing to move into 3 different accounts in treasury bonds, U.S. treasury bonds, which are 100% insured by U.S. government. That's devastating.
We also talked about moving some liquid fuel fund to mid-pen. Do we want to address that now or?
No, I think right now I just wanted to on. Being the,
Would have,
yes, we've received a letter from outlining their, insurance beyond FDIC for the funds that are in with this closing into our liability from members first, who does not have or has not given me any kind of clarification or documentation on third party, level. Who
Next is Rosalie Calvo, request to transfer her escrow for a small flow sewage disposal system.
Yeah, so a conventional system was not able. Need to be working on, but she's required to have an escrow to function. She has since sold the property, there's new owners there, that the funds that she gave us in escrow. She's passing that to the new owners, so they just have to do. So we do it for
What's the amount?
$3,283.64.
Questions? Oh, next, memorandum of understanding.
Matt, Robert, from the borough. To meet with him and Jamie, issues. And the issue is regarding Logan Park and the challenge that they're. Writings, just so I could get up to date, well, what is. Ownership, was deeded. The, borough. They have residents that are actually doing right to know requests. For spending within Logan Park, and, being that they are not. Property manager between, our two minutes. Well, doesn't have the documents necessary for. It'll also be an issue in the borough. Why they're asking us to be involved is because. In the discussion, between myself and Brendan, they're getting the history at. Doing an MOU, just like we're doing right now with the, here, together the MOU, and based on the information and feedback. The meeting, I called Sheila, and talked to her one-on-one. I called Libby and talked to her one-on-one. So Libby and Sheila are on the recreation committee, advised them about the meeting, that and the ethics. Something that I volunteered to do. You asked if they're okay with that. They both said they're okay with that. To Sheila, Libby, Matt, Brandon, and Jamie. There were a couple of changes, things they wanted added in the MOU. Sent it back out. Everyone seemed to like it. There was no other feedback, so I passed it off to Jay to. Doing an MOU with the township and an MOU with a different MOU with the borough. The guys, it just makes sense since we're 50-50 owners and they're our contractor in that. Yeah, the MOU, they are going to review it with their council, or they already did last week, I'm not sure. And their solicitor, and I said that we was. It is basically an advisory board. It's 3 residents from Carroll Township, 3 residents from the borough, and a chairman.
And they're appointed by them. Yeah, bylaws, yeah, basically, they run and maintain the park on behalf of the borough. But up until this point, I mean, there was no set agreement as to what they must provide to municipalities for what they get from us. So that's all that much better what we're expecting.
They're basically, it's John running without oversight, and different questions, and really at this point, it's the responsibility of the borough and the township.
So I saw a reference to them.
I mean, and that was a couple of years, and then it came up, a few years back, but they went to do it. Just, because of using their hands even, put their volunteer time out there, so we do appreciate everybody on board. Just getting stuff clear with the borough.
It's the same thing. Carroll Township doesn't have that, borough does, and so let's just make understanding, ensure the park is operated, the priorities set for the expense. Sure, mowing of the grass priority, and then, and correct.
All right. It's still under review, is that correct?
This is, actually, it would be action for the board to approve the MOU.
Oh, to present.
Right, and as, if our board approves. That. With the committee or 2 members to have a rec committee on the borough to then work with our rec committee, regarding MOU or any other recreation. John, for your review, is okay, you see anything in there from a legal perspective or legal language?
I didn't when I was there, but I'm just looking through it again now, I know it was. Over part 40.
Any questions on
Yeah.
Okay, next is the neighbor concern on Fager Warehouse.
So on June 12th, based on Jeremiah Jones' just last visit with us on the board. Okay, next time is give us a call. I'd like to hear it. Jeremiah gave you a call on June 12th, and they gave Dave a call as well. They had no things of it. That was frankly, I thought it was loud. The information we've been hearing about was good, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is good. And so, that's the thing I was thinking of, that it was almost like white noise. Yeah. So, and I do have the recording still on my phone if you want to hear it. So, the Brandon also spoke with, and I told both and Jeremiah, my field, there's 5 fans there. One was the other 4 were running. Aside of that, Brandon, Mr. Fager regarding the 3 issues that he brought up at the township meeting, and Mr. Fager said,
He's installed. The fans aren't on at time. I don't know. Didn't hear that I was gonna solve that issue. Here, I initiated a conversation with Mr. Fagers engineer on the barrel. The issue. Contact. The next. All the parking, meets the requirements, and that's being worked on. And then the outdoor storage for the rear of the building is gonna be, is currently being moved to the, that's.
When it comes to the parking, that, we have to determine that, is sort of violation, or that's just.
No, they're not cited, and that's a different lot, so it's
Yeah.
weird, so the parking lots are a different lot,
Right.
and that's kind of where. I think, it got to the point of. Be a lot of digging to see exactly where the violations are, so. Are in a little bit of a grass, but they're working towards rectifying that.
Yeah, so they actually keep getting. And the kind of parking space to it, I won't say how many because actually it is in the one lot, not on the other lot. So one thing is that are very engaged, right? They're willing to attract you know. That's I will share at this time.
what update the board based on Jeremiah's complaint? 7-1. How was it going? You said, yeah. Okay. So I think that complaint's been, well, works are being resolved the last 5 months.
One thing too, I have a couple. We took a reading. And with the fans running, I guess it was about 4. It was like 60 bucks. And, then they shut the fans off. We did a reading and it was like 40. So it brought it down considerably. And I talked to Mr. Bailey. I told him, he was kind of put a rubber kind of thing, kind of deadening material. And, the company who was doing the maintenance on the building wasn't, really eager to put his own stuff in. And he said he was gonna pursue it, and I said, well, he was gonna do a couple fans, I said, just do one. Yeah. Another thing was, when, starts heat, that the fans could be running half speed, if they're running half speed. Considerably, and they move, more than 50% of the air. They told them, got that hot that the fans could be kept up on high speed. So that, the guys could work in the building. And I said, that it would be any degrees out. So,
Yeah, their biggest issue was in the evenings. Back over the weekends and weekend
Yeah, the
evenings.
timer was
It
all.
was basically the timing is from market.
up the, didn't know anything about the and so,
Yeah.
they heard it. I don't know how that happened, but I guess the timers didn't work.
Working. Next is our work session minutes and meeting minutes. The revised version of the meeting minutes from June 8th, 2026. Agenda for next week.
There are a couple of items that are not on the agenda, but on the plan in progress report. If you have a chance to take a look at that, residential subdivision, last one, the consultation meeting was held on the June 9th, 2026. The applicant actually. My team has been, to make following the rules and regulations on their field. June 3rd, one as have asked the developers to find a revised final plan for the water improvement. Because they were requested by this area or address some of the comments. As of today, I have not received. Once I receive that, we will be able to move forward. There was some outstanding item list. That they address all of them. The plan right now, the engineer against to, request and ask them for the revised plan, because if without that, allow us to move forward. The next one on my list is the Logan Metal. Logan Metal, they're continues doing their construction. Has been doing multiple. And drainage issue on lot 139. The engineer for the site actually would like to do a additional geotech investigation for the drainage. So, 235 Ground Road, that's the next one. The plan was tabled at the June 25th, 2026 Planning Commission. Address all the comments. At this point, it was tabled until the next month. That's that one. User Professional Center, mobile. Um, 2 hours. And applicant for reporting, but it was done, right? Yeah, so that was done. We didn't get anything back from them at this. Government can continue. We have been out there do multiple different inspection as well, gas line and paving construction. With, 41 York Road warehouse, last meeting, I mentioned that, they're supposed to provide the joint permit by June 4th, but as of now, I did not. Go back. The applicant. Northern York County School District, that is the middle school and then elementary school improvement. Transportation study groups grouping applications that were submitted to PennDOT. Also make comments to the application. I believe the meeting, the PennDOT and scheduled to be on July 27th. Yeah, so I got the email from she did today. Where we at London. Last one that I have is for Reggie essay. We continues working with the applicants. The last thing we have is for the retaining wall on site. So we are currently vacation time schedule. It has been delayed for a little bit. I apologize, but we're getting on it ASAP. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Maybe you'll probably have to add those.
Well, script zoning, or just, let me just go over that real quick. So I think we should have an executive session for the next meeting, and then we can discuss if we want to do any discussion. Opinions on it, what for, I think, any chance of appeal from that, and then we have to make a decision by July 23rd. So my request at this point is an executive session.
Thank you for your time.
Did we do it tonight? Well, I guess we'll be back on Monday, but. And you're talking about next Monday? Okay.
Okay, so in for all of that, I just had two variance approvals for fence heights and the front yard. One was for 733 Lumber Lane, the other one was for the police department here. I was doing hearings.
Additional items to be discussed.
Berkshire Park, remember that? So that came off the agenda, and then we were charged with due diligence. I think we're like, at least I'm prepared to say that. If you remember the way this thing, got two parcels. No issue. Land. Utility easement that runs diagonally across. It was a little lot, we were calling lot 39. It's right there, that the Civic Association, title search, it's still in the name of the developer of the original. It goes back to like 1970 or something. So it's going to be, how do we get this defunct entity to convey this little parcel of land to you guys? Starting to happen, so. I discussed with my title underwriters, where title for 3 different companies. Then, sure, and this. And that company is coming back. So I really had my eye on this lot. To build my dream house on. It's so minuscule that they would be willing on Carroll Township to insure. I think with that assurance that we can insure the title for you guys. We never have an issue that will go on. That we're at a point where we can. That due diligence. So the situation for this. It's probably really good. And I guess I decided if you even want the land yet, the first thing was.
Issue. Fencing there by. They're allowed to.
There's many issues, that.
Well, I mean, that is the main one, but yeah. Like to be. Your time can be appropriate and.
I mean, like I said, we require a special permit for that. And that. We can't apply for that special permit because we don't. It would have to be done in the owner's state.
So at some point.
Hey guys, it's Vicky Church.
That's with Mr. Whitcomb, based on the letter that he provided to the board regarding his concern for past and current township. And I explained to him. To speed, and so I reached out also to Wendy and her group, provided the letter that Whitcomb provided. They reached out. Talking to Mr. Wickham, he said, hey, it's going really good, much improved. Mandy's on top of it. So just want to make sure we kind of close that loop with his concern in his letter.
Hello, hello. It's Vicky Church.
Asking us, and we got to resubmit it. So that's going on. Survey-based mapping is completed, and that was being worked on. October. Project. I think the project, the whole board, it's got transparency, you can see the project. Every time we get a project update map from the project out there so that everybody can see it. I also met with this month with Heather Bittner from County Planning Commission with Brandon. At the public meeting. Talk about the interchanges that we have in our comp plan. So, to the comp plan committee, to try to have our first committee meeting. We really talked about the interchanging, probably, but mostly what is what the process to get it in queue into. So. Chris was telling us, actually had. And then feel that, the things that we have on there are actually help us in the speedy. Yep, black record. So, he had a lot of good information. I've got a lot of good notes from it. He gave me. The intention is to try to get something put together, get a committee meeting put together, get it not. Get that first committee on comp planning going.
I have two that I'm concerned about. The one is, the Route 15 meeting we had. With the supervisors and people. Later on, they. The community. You had like a classroom stuff. They had mingling type thing. They took the chairs out. A meeting. And so. Regular people. See what their questions would be, because I wanted to stay. They brought up, but it wasn't that way. But I did get a lot of the thing that told that they wanted to put in access roads for some of the businesses with like acceleration ramps and things like that. For getting into traffic, the decel ramp. And the Carroll Drive, they wanted to put in a decel for that. Which they're doing this kind of thing. But I was told that doing anything for 2 years. It take 3 years to complete what they want. And to help to the Route 15 corridor. But thinking this isn't a good deal. The biggest thing that's wrong with it, when we figured about where flow reliefs in and where reroute roads that we needed, for example, to get a road in so that the tractor trailers could get in, that type of thing. And that, none of that came in. It's all different. And the problem that I see is the 2-year waiting period, 3-year, because we're gonna wind up with the place all built up. And then when it comes time for load release and over, which I think at that time, we way of too late. I don't see any way that we'll do it, because we're gonna be all built up. And the people right now are not happy with the traffic. And what I'm looking at here, I think we should ask for a meeting with them and try and get them to understand and this and try and move forward. I think we're getting interchanges put in. You know, the construction period, 3 years, that alone is construction. And it will be tying up traffic. We've got too much traffic.
They won't move any sooner. Their money's already committed.
Well, I know that the financially, they had told us the last time we had met with them that we wouldn't be able to see anything done till 2030. And that was if they had the money. And I heard that they were spending the money on Route 30. Upset me because I didn't feel that that road was that.
Chris confirmed with us is that they know that 15 through to based on the traffic studies. Their biggest money is gonna be going into, Interstate, 83. That's where the majority from what Chris, shared with us for
Look, I don't know how specific they were. You and right away, like if you're adding any width to that road,
Water.
environmental and right away is gonna take 2 years easily.
The point I'm trying to make is, things are, at the rate we're going with our development. The roads that, for example, for the busy interchange in this, Siddisburg Road area. We want to move out Route 74 over to the overpass. We probably won't go through that. And everything is going to be built up, and we won't go do anything unless they tear homes down. And the thing I was looking at too. I think we should have some kind of moratorium on any kind of developments that put cars or a lot of vehicles on the road. That's warehouses, developments where you have to 30, 40 homes and say 40. That's 80 out of and we're already overloaded. The infrastructure can't support it. I don't know what to say, but I see the window closed. As far as putting in the, if we get to that point where we can't do that, we're done. And the whole bigger development, I think that would be something that would help to restrict some of these places. It's
Legally, I mean,
I don't know if legally we can do this, but
I mean, our road, the traffic's bad, but they're not. None of those intersections are a failure.
after it's loaded with automobile. And it's the people from the Dillsburg area trying to get home. They used to go home on Route 15, go to Baltimore Street or Mountain Road or something, get off.
Like. Yeah, like it's just a lot of construction at one time, so, come October, hopefully that'll subside a little bit so that people can get back to their normal alternative route.
The Chris really put it in good sense. He said, really, if you guys are looking at saying, we want to eliminate traffic, in Route 15, that's an impossibility. But what he's saying is, what they're looking at is, the 3 interchanges, the stages. The northern one, and then the next one, each one that you do, you're waiting. So that's the way he said the best way to look at it is reduce the time, but you'll never get rid of the traffic, period. So it's about a reduction. At least from the reconstruction, from what I saw, Dave, and thanks, Brandon. Got all the maps so we could keep them here for our residents. Is I really like that they're getting. And especially updated. I think that will help, again, not eliminate the traffic, but I think it'll help to move the traffic through.
This is it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I see wrong is time for where we come. It's too late. It's almost too late now. We should have bypass is what we should have in this thing. But now, and see the one big thing too, and I brought it up, is they do anything to encourage them to do it. That alone is gonna destroy the business district. They'll have to put access roads and things like that, and just like, you probably remember Ranchland. What happened to that? Nobody, nothing there. Roof's blowing off, and the building's falling down. You're looking at it as our business. We need to get this moved, and it's way overdue. We should have had the interchanges years ago. And now, the concern I have is the fact that time is done. Time we won't.
I think we will be able. But Chris, why we're and starting this committee and having those conversations is to the official.
Okay. Set us on. Figure out what they want to do now. It's time and people from building. That would be great. The other part of it is more cars on the road because it's already overloaded.
Yeah, that's
So
what
this is just.
I know.
So to me, I thought it would be done. That would, that would help. On the other hand, if they at least have the interchanges and everything sorted out, and Lance, at least right now, there's people moving out of Dillsborough because, and I don't blame them. It's bad. And the other part is that I worry about is, you know, I know they have. I know that they have, and it seems like a lot up at the McDonald's area. And another thing too that I thought about later, because they want to make the light goes green, you get help. And on Orback Road, they're gonna go down to single lane to go through our new round. And that's gonna choke everything up. I don't understand.
This base. States.
Well, and it,
So then force everybody to merge into one. It's people will get, once that's in there, people will get to understand, oh shit, that's a bridges where it's a turn lane.
on the left turn. Side by side, they wouldn't stack up on one lane and let the other one level. They want to get through the light. And then once they get through, once they ain't going into the shopping. It was group of traffic going into the roundabout. And I don't think that's gonna work. And maybe there should be, if they're doing it. If it gets or the other entrances, you won't be able to use them.
Well, the double turn lane doesn't make more traffic than what's there now. It's the same amount of traffic, it's just.
But it can allow more to get. That's what I'm concerned with. And if they all decide they want to go over to, Pittsburgh Road, it could block up and everything, and it would make a continuous parade of vehicles going in.
Wants to come here.
The
The second point was the.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna do it one quick thing. The 283 Campground Road, you just struck that. So He's about a month behind, and then there was. Did it paint permit? Didn't call for any inspections, I think he's still hand digging, the foundation, work, so. Month behind from what.
All right, speaking of working, are we scheduled for our
Victory at the last I heard, I reached out to them, and yeah, they're still on schedule.
good?
I have one more. K-9 issue,
But we put that on the agenda for next. We should look for that.
Yeah.
I think it was just an edit to add.
Modify the.
You want to be.
The other Wednesday.
an MOU to, with the, police contract or an amendment to the contract, what was the plan?
Yeah, I think we'll have to make an amendment.
Go ahead, next week.
I'm not sure, because don't we have to notify the police that we want to contract?
You guys to say.
Okay. Okay.
So I just wanted to circle back to the data center appendix. So I heard we were talking about the performance mitigation agreement. And a lot of the details. More air quality, and I wanted to just make it was all cross-checked, like with the decibel level. In terms of air quality, was it just particulate matter? It's
Not air quality.
we're aligned with what's in it, so that we're enforcing what we say in our ordinances.
Mhm.
You might want to just go back and look at that. And like I said, with the whole frequencies, we were talking about octave bands, but yet. The third thing was public sustainability and a little bit. Talk about. Is there also any fire department funding? As we talk about making sure they have equipment and training from the developer in order to make that happen.
Good. Requirement. Set up, right? As long, unless there's a modification that needs to be made.
But there, that's a condition.
Yeah.
And that they're gonna be paying towards the fire tax. Property, is substantial. What they would be paying, so, you know, they would always get a.
Thirdly, at least reach out when those proposals come through, right, I filled in. Fusion, I think they always have. Now, Chris was here.
With an audio.
Chris, you know, I don't want to speak for fire. I mean. So. Of what we have to work with.
So that would basically mean that whoever is on the board at that time would have to decide that they want it to be a condition. Whereas this agreement kind of sets a standard. And I think there's emergency services too.
Thank you.
Everett and Chestnut Drive. First off, thank you, Mr. Bransky, for addressing that about Berkshire Hills. I do have a question though, so. Dude,
This is the stage that I was involved in most recently was due diligence is Berkshire able to give us the land with any recent show. It is myself. And now that supervisors to decide, they're crossed off the solicitors due diligence. And let's talk about fence, to be one other part, I mean, there's still all that to discuss. It's wasn't worth discussing it.
John, I think the other issue that we talked about with the association was, and we might have already resolved this, but yeah, there were some new bylaws in there. Was for and documentation of that.
Vote tally.
Never. Yeah, so, and Art like nodded like you had to have that somewhere.
we do have that.
Okay.
And I thought that was already provided, the previous solicitor, but if you, I mean, what do you? Very good. Thank you. I will get that for you and I'll have it to you tomorrow, or the day after. So,
Thanks, Lee.
and if there's anything else that you guys. Just need to know.
Additional items?
I was thinking, since we talked about, maybe setting the land aside for the, and on maybe the.
You think it? Next week, maybe. Okay,
And see if that.
We already are doing that.
Yeah, and it don't work that, I thought that would come out, so, yeah. Yeah, no idea, you
Or do we, what do we do?
there is no survey, I mean, there's a concept on. You don't know that. He's got a- And when it gets to the design. Right, so you don't survey anything out, you just get it on the official map, it's a concept of a layout, and then, it can change from there.
So, I think if we were, what we were doing was some concept of. Higher, okay. At what expense do we do that? Modify the official map for something we know is not gonna look like what it's ultimately.
We have to have something to go by if you're gonna approve developments or. We don't wanna wind up where all of a sudden it doesn't meet the PennDOT requirements if we don't have houses. You know what I mean? Radius of the curve. That's why I thought maybe. Try and look out for itself if we, maybe figure the width of a 4-lane highway for everything that's gonna be like 74 or something.
Well, that's what Chris said. Our best, Brandon, jump wrong, our best have been working this to getting. The squeaky wheel is through York County. This is the-
We can proceed with some of that stuff to get it out there. Maybe all the tip, I even having the official map done, I mean, I don't have to be done first.
Correct.
Yeah, I was thinking too, that with the more. I don't know what to say.
Any motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Motion by second.
Second.
Motion seconding. All those in favor of motion to adjourn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a good night.